After Earth by Thomas Blueprint. Prologue. The Earth is now uninhabitable and squalid, due to an asteroid colliding into the Moon. The Moon was destroyed. The lunar dust rained down on the Earth for decades, blocking out the sun and contaminating the oceans. The richest and smartest people on the planet built a space station the size of the Moon in advance to live on. 3 other space stations were built too. The Russians also built a space station on the Moon Europa orbiting Jupiter. The military lived on a barrack on the red planet Mars. The last space station housed the humans and e-humans, located at the edge of the solar system. The lunar space station was built by the surviving laboring class of humans for the elites of United Nations of America, in exchange for a space station of their own located on the outer ring of the solar system. The elites consisted of humans of the secret royal bloodline, believed to be direct descendants of the gods. On the lunar station was the best technology. The elites focused on the education the most. The kids stayed in school half the day, 7 days out of the week. With no religion, learning was everything on the lunar station. The elites also provided the pay of gold and other earth metals to the soldiers and laborers. The elites were the only people to know ahead of time that the asteroid was on a collision course with Earth. The lunar station was the only place in the solar system where you can see the Earth big and bright in their sky. A nationalist party controlled the Russians. They closed Russia's borders and exiled all Jews and non-white Russians. They did this after discovering the secrets and plans of the elites. After discovering about the asteroid from the elite secret notes, the Russians started working on a space ark to escape Earth and head to Europa. They proclaimed they were the last pure white race left on Earth. When the elites discovered that the Russians were escaping to space, they assembled an elite army consisting of elite generals and soldiers, all from the ancient warriors of the Apache Native Americans, Roman soldiers, and African Zulu warriors genetics. The combination gave the soldiers a range of dark orange to light orange skin tone. After humans mastered genome technology, the elites became obsessed with breeding to make hybrid humans. The barracks were located on the planet Mars. The workers were the laborers who built the space station in exchange for their own space station to live on. Their space station was located on a moon of Uranus where a mountain of titanium was discovered. The elites paid the workers to risk their life to mine the unstable mountain of titanium. At any time the mountain could collapse, creating a titanium avalanche crushing on the working laborer. The workers consisted of Africans and Mexicans, who came from a long line of hard workers of America. The elites had always promised their ancestor a place in heaven for their work in America. One of the elites' main goals was to make their own species of artificial life, using the titanium to form the skeleton of the robots. They accomplished it with a yottabyte hard drive as its brain. The brain stored billions of commands, replies, and video memories. The e-humans had super high-resolution cameras for eyes, and the brain stored everything the e-humans saw. The e-human's heart is a super yottabyte processor that worked with the brain's memory to calculate the future equations. These e-humans were perfect to now be the ones to mine the titanium mountain and all the side jobs for the elites. 100 years later. The lunar station. On the lunar station the elites enjoyed their advanced elite lives. The elite techs built a magnet core reactor, which used the magnetic fields of Earth for power. This process was accomplished using the force of opposite magnetic field pushing on each other. They lived in huts made of titanium made by their e-humans. The elites, with a population of 90 people, started from 75. The elites experienced only 2 deaths in 100 years. With advanced technology and medicine, the elites have always lived past the age of 100 years, even before the end of life on Earth. The elites only reproduce once every 4 years, and it was done by artificial insemination. When reproducing, the elites always choose the male genetics of the pharaoh bloodline and the female genetics of Greek oracles. On Europa, the Russians drilled and blew up their way through the ice. Life was cold and hard for the Russians. With little food and energy, the Russians did nothing but drill. After 100 years of drilling and looking for an energy or food source, the Russians lucked up. They discovered an under-ice cave which floor was made of molten rock from an underground volcano. The volcano was active as it shot up lava, which froze and hardened as soon as it hit the surface. The heat from the volcano raised, melting the ice, creating a very thin steam-like atmosphere made of 70% hydrogen, 20% oxygen, 5% iron and 5% sulfuric acid. It was breathable by the Russians. The Russians used the huge cave as a place to stay. They also tapped into the volcano's lava current and used it for energy. Food was still scarce. The Russians mostly ate grass, potatoes, and other fungi-like plants, which could grow on that moon. The Russians' population was now 61 from 25. The Russians' lifespan was 55 years. The first Russians tried their hardest to reproduce before they died, setting a precedent. On Mars, the soldiers' life was pretty chronic by the day. They were either training or deployed to the laborers' planet to police their domestic disputes. The soldiers were all males, so their population was created by the elites. It was now at 300. The best things for the soldiers were recon missions of the planet. Each new area discovered got named after the soldiers who found it. Only the older veteran soldiers got to do recon. Many never returned from their last missions. On the moon of Uranus lived the laborers. Their life was hard and dangerous. They worked all their life mining the titanium mountains. The population started with 200 and now is at 503. They produced like rabbits. They consisted of Africans and Hispanics, two of the most fertile people from Earth. Their planet's living conditions were horrible. The moon was domed off and a machine made by the elites supplied the air. The machine also controlled the temperature, which the elites controlled from the lunar station, and the manual control station located outside the dome. The controlled station was guarding by the elite soldiers. 50 years later, on the lunar station things were progressing. The humans have got more advanced. The elites were ready to send the humans to the Uranus moon to start mining. The laborers have discovered titanium crystals and the elites are obsessed with this new jewelry. The elites built a telescope to observe the planet Earth to see if any changes are occurring on their former planet. On Europa the Russians have been drilling and exploring the huge ice cave. They checked every crack and crevice for something organic to eat. With the power they tapped into, the Russians have built new technology, including a new weapon that shot out a pure lava energy beam that could reach trillions of miles away. They also invented new replacement body parts that can be used on their bodies when their original body part stops working. Lungs are the #1 replacement. The thin air wreak havoc on the human lungs. The Russians' lungs evolved to be weaker and weaker. But their bones evolved to be stronger. The Russians are working on a machine that could send sound waves to the moon of Uranus. They wanted contact with the laborers on the edge of the solar system. On Mars the soldiers evolved to have deep thoughts and more obedient thoughts. They lived to patrol the laborers. The soldiers only raised their sons after coming back from 15 years tours. The elites only produced male babies for the population of Mars. Women were only produced when the oldest fertile head mother has reached the age 45 years old. The first wave of humans reached the moon of Uranus. At first it was a few and the humans trained and commanded the humans. The human laborer would always use the humans for the hardest jobs. After a few years, avalanches destroyed a lot of the humans. Back on the lunar space station, the elites didn't like losing their humans. So they sent more and this time equipped them with the ability to work for themselves and make sure to preserve their own lives no matter what. The more and more the humans came to the moon of Uranus, the less and less the laborers were needed. As the laborers' jobs decreased, they started to resent the humans. They mocked the humans and called them names. They threw titanium rocks at the humans every chance they got. Being programmed not to harm any human life, the humans had no defense against the laborers. Until the elites reprogrammed them with verbal defense as well as physical defense. Eventually the humans had most of the jobs on the moon of Uranus and the laborers started to die more often due to lack of funds and food. When the laborers' population started to decrease drastically, they became very violent towards the humans. The soldiers were sent in to protect the humans, but a lot of soldiers didn't like the fact they were protecting the humans and not the laborer humans. Some soldiers realized that the humans could easily replace them next. Many soldiers even went AWOL to join the laborers' lifestyle. The laborers actually had women on their planet. A group of AWOL soldiers and the laborers formed a militia determined to destroy all e-humans on the moon so that the laborers could go back to the working lifestyle they had before the e-humans came to their world. After taking a mega loss of e-humans due to the militia, the elites equipped the e-humans with weapons and more programming to kill humans. An all-out war began on the moon of Uranus. Somehow word of this war reached the Russians. They were delighted to hear this news and made plans on somehow traveling to the moon of Uranus to join the fight versus the elites and the laborers. The Russians finally decided to see if their new lava weapon worked and took a shot at the elites' lunar space station. The shot successfully reached the lunar station, but it only made minor damage. All the shot made from the Russians was make the elites mad. The elites made the Russians the #1 enemy and sent soldiers and e-humans to Europa. Now the solar system was at war. On Europa the soldiers and e-humans drilled to try to reach the Russians, and on the moon of Uranus explosions were occurring daily as the fight between the laborers and e-humans went on. The laborers shouted out that they were fighting for their right to make a living. To be continued. By Thomas Blueprint.